Welcome to Storytime. I'm your host and author, Cherie Baker. Today we'll be reading from Coffee Cakes and Dragon Eggs, a cozy fantasy set in modern-day England. Enjoy! Chapter 7. Eliza trotted into the lounge with the day's mail and a blue plate piled high with treats. "Post is here. There's a letter with the newspaper today." Violet set her book aside as Eliza placed the plate on the pale blanket covering her knee. The flowers had long ago faded into splotches, only known as blossoms from memory. "What did you make this time?" Violet adjusted her glasses and peered at the misshapen biscuits. Eliza beamed. "Chocolate and walnut. I finally got 'em crisp without burnt edges. Try one." Violet took a small biscuit and nibbled an edge. "Interesting. Yeah, the way the smokiness blends, it's better with walnuts." Eliza shoved a whole cookie into her mouth and started on a second, pushing the plate towards her aunt. "You can have more." Violet waved the plate away and picked up the Post. "I'll read this first, thank you. I'm really not that hungry." "You hardly eat anything," which couldn't be a good sign. Eliza bit her lip. "Should I call a doctor?" Violet barely twitched her head as she tore open the letter. "They won't come out. You scared 'em the last time. There's nothing they could do anyway. I'm just old. People don't live forever." Eliza didn't like the sound of that. Not one bit. "I wish you would live forever, and ever, and ever." Violet chuckled. "And maybe we should all ride unicorns to the moon." Eliza liked seeing Violet smile. It made the room brighter. She munched through another biscuit, rolling the crumbs around her mouth. The walnuts were a little bitter. Maybe her auntie didn't like them. And then she was just being polite. Yes, that must be it. Next time, she'd make biscuits with almonds or cashews. They were much sweeter. When Eliza set the letter on the table next to her recliner and took off her glasses, she looked ill. The telegram telling the household of great-grandma's passing had made everyone look like that. Eliza peered at the letter, but the jumbled, squiggled lines made no sense to her. "Who died?" Violet shook herself and folded the letter up. Sorry, it's the council. They've changed the zoning around Shepherdsdale." "What's zoning?" Eliza wriggled closer to her aunt, and she itched her back scales. Violet's nails rubbed over her back, flaking off the old itchy scales. "Zoning is the way the government decides what purpose the land has. And this used to be agricultural. Now they're changing it to residential." "But we've always lived here." Eliza wriggled in excitement. Auntie had found the best bit to scratch now. Violet chuckled and scratched harder. "True. I'm not sure if we were grandfathered in or simply skated around the rules by staying quiet, but we couldn't have sold this place as a home or built a new house. I wonder why they changed it." Eliza tapped her tail on the carpet in time with the scratching. "Zoning sounds really weird. Why? Should the government tell you what you can do with your own stuff?" "Well, that's what governments are for," Violet sighed. "And if we sold up now, well, we'd get a fair bit, I imagine. Enough to live somewhere else." Eliza jerked back. "No, this is home." She hadn't been outside the mill since Father died. Except for swimming in the river, and that didn't count, because you couldn't see the bottom due to all the chalk. It's expensive running this old building. Renting out the workshops doesn't even cover the cost of the council tax. There's nothing left over for maintenance, let alone improvements. I heard Scotland's nice, much less crowded up there. We could have a pleasant croft on 100 acres probably. There'd be plenty of room for you to learn to fly." Violet smiled, as if being hundreds of feet in the air with nothing underneath you would be nice. Eliza crossed her arms. "I don't want to. It's on the other side of the bluffs, much less. I can't go to another country. It's scary out there. And flying is scary. It's so far above the ground. And why are you so mean?" You're being selfish, short-sighted, child. I'm trying to do what's best for you. Violet raised the footrest with the press of a button. I hate you! You horrible old beast that never cared about me. Nobody loves me. Eliza ran from the room and down to her pool, where Violet couldn't follow because of her old arthritic knees. While swimming along the river, to calm down, Eliza's paw snagged on something hard. Since she'd stirred up so much mud, she couldn't see what. She shot to the surface with it. Discovering treasure in the river always brought a sense of thrill. The current flowed quite fast after the mill pond. Anything the river carried close to the wall would sink to the bottom and stay there. And that's how Eliza found all her best things. Clasping the item gently in her teeth, she made her way back to the mill and slipped under the wall. It wouldn't do to wreck whatever prize she'd discovered by being clumsy. She flipped the mystery parcel over the edge of the pool and climbed out. It was a black plastic sack, and the top was tied shut. There weren't any marks on it, so it must be quite new. Eliza poked the knot. However, her claws were too short to unfasten it. She could take the bag to Aunt, and Violet could cut the top off. But Eliza had found the parcel. She needed to uncover the contents herself. And she wasn't being mischievous. That was being curious, like a scientist. Eliza grabbed the bag and tiptoed upstairs to her special room where she kept her treasure collection. She liked to call it a library. It used to be a workroom back when the mill actually made things, before Father passed away. Inside the enormous room that spanned the entire length of the building, tall windows cast the morning light over the shelves. Eliza had cobbled them together out of old looms and workbenches. So many nice things had come to her via the river. The room was already half filled. She'd only been collecting for 50 years. A cozy, safe space made her happier than anywhere else in the world. If they moved, she'd lose everything. Surely, if Violet needed money, she could just spin wool again. The steam engine and the jennies still worked. But no. All Violet did was make tea and sell cakes, and then she stopped doing even that. Eliza pulled a pair of glasses out of the rack by the door and hung them off her ear. She tied a cardigan over her shoulders. Suitably attired for work, she found a set of shears and cut the top off the bag. Inside was a big stack of books. Father used to let her arrange the books in his office, but these were much better. They came in all sorts of sizes and designs. She sorted through them into piles according to their color. There were 2 blue, 2 yellow, 1 green, and one that had a lot of colors. Too many to sort. Eliza took the blue books to the shelf along the back wall. There wasn't enough room on the top with all the other blues, so she had to move some greens down, which meant moving the yellows. Eventually, everything needed to be shifted. She might need to even build new shelves soon. She was so engrossed with the sorting, she hardly noticed when her eye blinks turned into head nods. Soon, she was slumped against the bookcase, one rusty paint tin clutched in her paw. If you've enjoyed this section, please like and subscribe. New chapters will be recorded weekly. Alternatively, check out the description for places to purchase the book.